Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Lewis, and honestly, I never imagined I'd be sharing this story. If you had told me just a few months ago that I'd be sitting here talking about how my marriage completely collapsed, I would have laughed in disbelief. But life has a way of throwing you straight into the fire when you least expect it. This isn't just another caught cheating story. No, this one gets messy. Very messy. I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened, how I discovered my wife was lying to me, how I played along while carefully planning my next steps, and how I made sure she faced the full weight of the consequences. I've also included the personal lessons I learned along the way. If you're in a relationship, man or woman, you should watch this until the end. So buckle up, because this is one hell of a story. It all began with what was supposed to be a sweet gesture. My wife had been away on a business trip for a week, and I wanted to do something thoughtful. One of those little surprises that shows you care. I decided to head to the airport early. She thought I'd be picking her up at the usual time, but I figured, why not surprise her right when she lands? Maybe we could grab coffee, catch up, and spend some extra time together. I remember standing there, checking the arrivals board, feeling genuinely excited. I could picture the look on her face when she spotted me. But what I actually saw that day was nothing like what I imagined. Instead of seeing her walking through the terminal, tired but happy to be home, I saw her standing far too close to a younger man. Before I could even process who he was, she kissed him. And let me be clear, this wasn't a quick goodbye peck. This was slow, familiar, intimate. I froze. Who was this guy? What was going on? My hand instinctively went to my phone. My fingers trembled as I tried to snap a photo. I needed proof. If I confronted her right then and there, she could deny everything, twist the story, and make me feel crazy. But with proof, she wouldn't be able to talk her way out of it. I wasn't fast enough. Just as I raised my phone, she turned. Our eyes met, and the color drained from her face. She knew she'd been caught. Within seconds, she was rushing toward me, her expression a mix of panic and forced casualness, like she was desperately trying to pretend everything was fine, even though she knew it wasn't. The guy didn't even look at me. He just picked up his bag and walked off like nothing had happened. Before I could say anything, she started talking. "Hey, you're early. I was just about to text you." I didn't reply. I just stared. Her words tumbled out too fast, too practiced. "You probably saw that, right? It's nothing. Just a goodbye kiss. Nothing serious." My silence must have unnerved her because she kept talking, over-explaining. "It's just a cultural thing. You know, like how in some countries people kiss on the cheek when they say goodbye. It was like that. But it wasn't like that. Not even close." Still, I didn't react. I didn't yell or accuse her. I just stood there, mentally filing everything away for later. After a few seconds of awkward silence, she tried a new approach. "Listen, let's just go home, okay? We can talk there. I'll explain everything." And right then, I knew she was guilty. An innocent person defends themselves immediately. They say things like, "What? No, you misunderstood," or "That was just a goodbye hug. Why are you acting like this?" But my wife's first instinct was to get me out of public so she could control the conversation. So I played along. I nodded, still saying almost nothing. "Okay," I finally said, "let's go home." But in my head, I wasn't going home to listen to excuses. I was going home to find out just how deep this betrayal went. The drive back was tense. She kept sneaking nervous glances at me, probably expecting me to explode. But I stayed quiet, gripping the steering wheel and staring straight ahead. She finally broke the silence. "Look, I know how that must have looked, but I swear it's nothing. He's just a co-worker." Her voice was cautious, testing the waters, trying to gauge how much I had actually seen. "Just a co-worker?" I repeated blankly. "Yeah," she said quickly, sounding relieved that I wasn't pushing harder. "I know it might have looked bad, but it's not what you think. He's just a friend. We work together, that's it." I made a small, thoughtful noise, neither agreeing nor accusing, just enough to keep her talking. Inside, I knew she was lying. You don't kiss a co-worker like that unless there's more going on. By the time we got home, she looked calmer. She probably thought she'd talk her way out of it. But I wasn't done. That night, after the most uncomfortable dinner of my life, we went to bed. I waited until her breathing slowed, until I knew she was asleep. Then I carefully reached over and took her phone from the nightstand. I entered her password. It unlocked immediately. What I found made me sick. Her messages with that coworker were missing, but she hadn't deleted everything. I went into her archive chats, and there it all was. Their texts weren't just flirty. They were emotional, romantic, intimate. This wasn't some harmless fling. This was a full-blown affair. They had planned everything. Their meetups before the trip, their excitement about traveling together, even coordinating flights, so they could see each other at the airport. I kept scrolling, reading their inside jokes, their memories from the trip, their plans for when they got home. I had to put the phone down for a moment. This was the woman I had built a life with. I took screenshots, sent them to myself, then archived the chat again, and put her phone back exactly where it had been. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. Made coffee, stuck to my routine, even told her have a good day as she left for work. But the second the door closed, I got to work. I reached out to a friend who worked in HR at her company. We weren't super close, but we'd talked enough for me to message him casually. Hey man, quick question. Was my wife's business trip last minute? She only mentioned it right before leaving. His reply came after a pause. What business trip? My stomach dropped. I typed back, still keeping it light. She said she was traveling for work. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't a last-minute scheduling thing. Another pause. Then his message. She didn't go on a work trip. She took personal days. I figured it was vacation time. I gripped my phone, pulse racing. So she and this guy had taken time off together. And then she looked me in the eye and gaslit me into thinking it was all in my head. I was furious. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. If I showed my hand too soon, she could twist everything. Maybe even try to manipulate me into forgiving her. I wasn't about to give her that power. Instead, I quietly started making moves to protect myself. I began separating our finances. Casually, over dinner one night, I mentioned, with the market the way it is, maybe we should cash out some of our joint investments. Safer to move things around while prices are good. She shrugged. If you think it's smart, sure. And just like that, the first step was done. Over the next few weeks, I sold off our shared assets, quietly funneling my portion into accounts she couldn't access. Not all of it. That would have raised suspicion, but enough to make sure that if this marriage ended, she wouldn't drain me dry. By the end of the month, our finances were nearly separate. I was broke on paper, exactly how I wanted it. Once I secured myself, it was time to gather more evidence. Screenshots were good, but I needed something undeniable, something she couldn't spin. So I hired a private investigator. It didn't take long before he discovered that the office was already buzzing with rumors. People had seen her and her co-worker leaving for long lunches, disappearing together for hours. Then came the real evidence. He got photos of them leaving work together, meeting at secluded spots, laughing, touching each other in ways that left no doubt about what was happening. And then the smoking gun. Pictures of them in the back seat of her car, parked in the company lot, doing things that left zero room for interpretation. I finally had everything I needed, but I didn't want a screaming match or a dramatic confrontation where she could cry and twist a story. I wanted her downfall to be slow and undeniable. I gathered all the evidence, created a fake anonymous email account, and sent everything to her company, framing it as a concerned employee exposing inappropriate workplace behavior. The response was immediate. The company launched an internal investigation. Within a week, my wife and her lover were called in for questioning. I wasn't there, but I can imagine the panic when she realized someone had exposed her. At first, she was suspended, officially under investigation. But I knew the truth. The company was buying time, quietly cleaning up the mess. That night, she called me, her voice shaking, telling me something crazy was happening at work. She had no idea it was me pulling the strings. Months later, The company quietly let them both go. Her career, gone. Her reputation, ruined. That's when I made my final move. I filed for divorce, citing infidelity. When she was served, she tried to play the role of the shocked, devastated wife. Then came the begging, the crying, the swearing that it was just a mistake. I didn't care. By this time, I had already stopped paying the mortgage, knowing the court would likely give her the house. I made sure my name would be removed from the asset, so there'd be nothing for her to take from me. A week later, I moved out. She tried to fight the divorce terms in court, but I didn't care, because here's what I learned. When something feels wrong, it usually is. People in healthy relationships don't scramble to come up with explanations for innocent things. And silence? Silence is a weapon. Cheaters want you to explode so they can turn it into your overreaction. By staying calm, I put her on edge. And the most important lesson? Revenge is best served cold. If I'd acted on emotion that day in the airport, maybe I would have gotten an apology, maybe even forgiven her. But I waited. I gathered proof. I protected myself. And when she fell hard. In the end, betrayal teaches you more about yourself and the person who hurt you. It shows you what you'll tolerate, what you're capable of, and how strong you really are when you finally stop making excuses for someone else's behavior. I didn't just catch a liar. I made sure she paid for what she did. And that's how you take your power back. She's tried to reach out to me through mutual friends, but I ignore every attempt. She's not sorry, not really. And the thing about betrayal is, it always comes back to the person who started it. And with that, my story ends.